Hey there, friends. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Alex Laux, and we made it. We made it through another year, and I managed to release an entire series of videos that encompasses all of 2021. So I decided that here in the last week of 2021, I'd take a look back on what I've done over the course of the year, some of the highlights, and some of my favorites. So let's take a step back in time, and we can just enjoy the good memories. Come on. One of my favorite things to do was to show you around Ontario, my part of the province, and the communities that I love to go photograph in. Now, unfortunately, due to the continuing global pandemic, I wasn't able to get out to as many places as I wanted to, but I did get out to more than I thought I would. So let's take a look back at personally one of my favorite videos to put together for the people who are just fans of the channel, and those are On the Road. On the Road videos gave me a chance this year to continue sharing with you some of my favorite places to go photograph. Not to mention excellent chances to get out, shoot some film that could not only be used on YouTube, but also for reviews of film stocks or developers. This year started off with some new stay-at-home orders that kept me local, but by the spring I could start to get out and share those explorations again. We started off at Westfield Heritage Village, a living history museum outside of Hamilton, and explored some of the region's eldest buildings and other architectural gems that have been preserved. Then it was off to Elora, a favorite historical village of mine, and a small taste of Europe with some excellent offerings in both craft beer and craft distilling. A recent return trip for me was to Paris, named for the plaster of, not the famous French capital, and another taste of Europe, although after I got home I quickly realized I'd missed a good half of the town. The final trip this year was a quick addition, that of Guelph, a space that has become important as a quick escape for early morning photography throughout this past year and the year before. One of my most popular video series were ones I did on reviews. A little bit harder to produce, especially when it just takes so many moving parts to actually review a camera or a light meter. They actually proved to be one of the most popular, and I'm really not surprised, because that's really what my blog has always been known for, are my technical reviews of cameras, meters, film, and I managed to review a lot of things this year. So let's take a look back at some of my favorite reviews that I did. up doing a lot of reviews this year, mainly because I could use existing photos I'd taken and I didn't really have to travel too far. I found a quiet classroom on campus that wasn't being used for actual class purposes to act as my recording studio. These videos also proved some of my most popular and the most frustrating to produce. The biggest trouble I had with balancing actual photographic content was talking head sequences. There were also long talking sequences where I stumbled a lot over my words. This year I reviewed 3 light meters, the Gossen Luna 6F, and the Ravini Labs Hot Shoe and Spot meters. I did a quick guide to Lomography's 4 Cinefilm offerings to celebrate the release of their Berlin, Potsdam, Phantom, and Babylon stock. And importantly, I also reviewed the Eastman D96 motion picture black and white film developer. I shared my favorite film stock for the winter, Ilford Ortho 80 Plus, and covered off a lot of cameras. From a simple folder, the Iconta 521, a beautiful Hasselblad 503CX, the brilliant Minolta XD, and Fuji's ultimate 645 camera, the GA645 ZI Professional. And more importantly, I managed to torture myself again with the Smina symbol, which actually proved much more fun than I expected. And the best part is that next year I have a ton of cameras and gear and lots of great stuff up for review, and I've already started knocking some of those out of the park. It's been getting a lot easier to do now that I've really gotten into the flow of it. Although I have to say, one of the best things about being a part of the wider film photography community is the capacity to join in on parties and challenges that are just online. And I jumped into them this year. I don't normally, but I think having this channel has really helped push me into be a little more participation oriented through my photography with things like Polaroid Week and Holga Week. And of course the emulsive film parties, and yeah, it's all about having fun. So let's take a look back at the challenges and film parties that I was a part of this year. the best parts about the photographic community is the willingness to join in on virtual parties that take place over the course of the year. These parties, or challenges, can certainly help bring the film photography community together, and the best part is that while many have prizes attached, the most fun is joining in. I've been wary of some of these events in the past, but I jumped right in this year, starting with a longtime favorite, the Emulsive FP4 Party, a celebration of all things Ilford FP4+, and then into Holga Week and embracing the imperfections that little plastic camera can give, and finally the Fall Polaroid Week. While the weather wasn't exactly ideal for these fall events, I still had fun, and that's all that counts. And while I can't always predict what next year is going to bring, I can certainly make a point to ensure that I'm going to be a part of Polaroid Week and Holga Week again and really push myself, and I got some great ideas of how to do it. And last but certainly not least were vlogs. This is just an extension of my own writing where I could really talk about anything related to photography and its own personal meaning to me. It gives me a different means to get the word out and talk about the things that I love, and more importantly, the thing that I love not the most, but certainly in the top 5 is film photography. Despite being on a podcast, running this channel, and writing, speaking to a camera remains a challenge. The number of times I've had to repeat a sentence or re-record an entire block of text is hilarious. And if I'm smart, I'll start saving some of those fun things for a blooper reel next year. And while I still remain far more comfortable behind a keyboard than in front of the camera, the ability to record vlogs for the channel has become part of my work here. I got off to an interesting start this year talking about the power of photography and my own mental health journey after the wreck that was 2020, and continued on that line with how getting out in the early morning was an amazing time to get out and do photography. It also helped that I was at Guildwood surrounded by amazing ruins. I also talked about the project coming up next year on Ontario Railroad Heritage, and managed to complete the project so it's all ready to go for 2022. I spoke about friendships formed through an online community and my favorite expired film, Kodak Panatomic X, and how everything dies in the wake of Fuji's cancellation of Pro 400H, and how it's more important how we respond and move forward than mope about things lost, and ended the year with a trip back in time to the First World War at an encampment at Toronto's historic Fort York. yeah, it's really nice to be able to talk about it and share my own thoughts and views, and I definitely plan on continuing that in the new year as well. And you know, to be perfectly honest, I started redoing these YouTube videos and reestablishing my channel on a whim. I didn't think I would be this good or enjoy it so much. I've always struggled with video, especially the editing process, but I just applied the same thing I apply with my photography, pre-visualization. I get a general idea of what I want first, and then I actually find that the shooting and the editing and the music flows into place. And I feel I've definitely come a long way since I produced that first video in October 2020 as a pandemic idea, something to kill time, exercise more creativity. I've improved my camera for videotaping, going from my A6000 to my D750. Audio has improved leaps and bounds with Rode wireless mics, gives me a lot more freedom of movement and better audio quality, and discovering so much more in the way of online music from talented artists, one of whom is Mike Gutterman, who is an incredible photographer, good friend, and talented musician. And I've definitely been using more of his music, and I'm looking forward to using it more in the new year. And before I go, I want to thank every single one of you who have subscribed, liked, and commented on my video. If you're new to the channel and want to see what 2022 brings for it, I suggest hitting that subscribe button and that bell notification icon. And hopefully I can make it to 500 before the end of next year. That's going to be my goal. What about yours? Leave me a comment below with what are your photographic goals for the new year. And remember, get out there, stay safe, grab yourself some holiday cheer. All's quiet.